All right, so I'm sitting down with Kelley Armstrong. Thank you for coming to Shearer's and talking with us. Tell us a little bit about Spellbound.
Spellbound is the 12th novel in the Otherworld series. It's the second for narrator Savannah. She actually was introduced to the series in book 2, Stolen, when she was 12. And we've seen her through the course of the series grow up. She's now 21, and I decided that that would be a very fitting end to the series, would be to have this girl who's grown up taking over that final trilogy and being the grand finale. It's the biggest threat ever and pulls in all the characters from the past 11 books.
Your books contain elements of fantasy, contemporary fantasy, mystery, crime, and romance. How do you sort of pigeonhole yourself as a writer? Where do you see yourself falling?
I don't. I mean, it has been since the beginning a case of going to publishers, etc., and saying, where do you slot me in? And that has changed from the beginning. Way back when Bitten came out in 2001, they were calling these paranormal thrillers, supernatural thrillers. Then it was paranormal mystery. Now in America it is urban fantasy. And I always explain it by saying it's take every genre and mash it together. The only one that I do not have yet is westerns, but I always swear that someday I'm going to write a werewolf western.
A werewolf western?
A werewolf western. They are perfectly suited for the old West.
Oh, that would be awesome. Oh, please let us know when you do that. So how important do you think the genre is when you're talking to a publisher or to a bookseller?
It's important in the sense of being able to say more, not so much my book is urban fantasy, my book is paranormal romance, dark fantasy, whatever the current term would be, but to be able to say my book is like such and such. And if you know, I mean, nowadays it's very easy for me. I say, do you know True Blood? Charlotte Harris's series, that's what urban fantasy is. So if you can sort of relate it to somebody else who's doing well in a genre and say my books are similar to those.
I understand you live in a rural area. Is environment important when it comes to inspiration and writing and things of that nature?
I think it can be important in the sense that if you're living rural and it's quiet and it's isolated, it makes the perfect place that you can go out and just wander around. And it's not necessarily inspiring me to any plots, but it's so quiet that there's no outside influences. I can just wander through the woods, wander down the country lane, and think.
And what about the writing process? How do you approach it? Are you sort of disciplined or all over the place? Or
I tend to be disciplined, and it's more something that I've learned over the course of writing so many books. That you started off, I did not plot. I would just sit down and write, and if it went off on a tangent, pull it back, keep writing. I would do character development ahead of time, but otherwise it really was loose. It'd be like write whenever the mood strikes. That doesn't work so well when you A, have contracts with deadlines, and B, have a family. So I have become a very disciplined writer who writes in the mornings because that is the quietest time. Writes when learn to write when the family is at work and school, and putting in a certain number of words per day to know that I'm always on track. And outlining. I do outline. After my third book, I got like 100 or more pages off course and had to back up. That works well before you're published because it's just writing practice. But after you've got a deadline, that's bad having to back up over 100 pages.
You came out to Australia to make a speech at the Australian Romance Writers Conference. What did you talk to them about?
I did several panels and workshops for them. So I was on panels with other authors and agents and editors talking a lot about the future of writing. That is a big thing for authors right now, is what does digital publishing mean? Where are things going? What is what do we foresee as the role of the agent, of the editor, of the bookstore? So that, and also just giving general workshops. I did a workshop on writing young adult fiction, one on pacing, keeping those pages turning, and one on marketing and promotion.
Excellent. Well, talking about technology and sort of the digital future of the book industry, what's your position on ebooks and digital rights?
It really is the Wild West. It does seem that way for a lot of authors. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching reactions, and I see everything from authors who are jumping in with both feet, getting rid of their publisher and saying, I can do this on my own, no agent, no publisher, no nothing, to the other side where they're just burying their heads into saying, hope it goes away, hope it goes away. It's not going to go away. So for me, it is watching and seeing what opportunities are out there and how does this fit in, hoping that it's just another piece of the pie, that there will be opportunities to do digital publishing, but remaining the traditional publishing. I do not ever want to lose my agent, my editor, my marketing team, the booksellers. I see it as a team approach, and I want to be able to just write and leave all the rest to other people.
Speaking of your writing, I understand that you write a lot of short fiction to flesh out the worlds that you establish. How did you come to write that short fiction, and what's the difference between writing that and writing a novel?
I've always written short fiction, so because I've written since childhood, in the beginning it would have all been short stories. Then as a teen it became novellas, didn't actually start novels till my 20s. But with my series, I started writing short stories for them when my first website came out. I launched a website after my second book, because that was early 2000s when you didn't usually do one for your first book. And I thought, okay, what can I do with this website? What can I give readers to say thank you? Of course, I'm a writer. What can I give them? More writing. So I started doing backstories, serialized backstories of the characters. Readers would say, we want to know more about this character or this character. And I would do these serialized backstories. And then I'd be invited into anthologies and doing small stories where I'd have an idea. It just wouldn't obviously fit into novel length. Could do shorts, novellas, whatever they asked me for.
Great. And last question, when you're writing, how do you get into the mindsets of a vampire, a witch, or a necromancer?
That is the fun part. It really is. The way when you're writing these, that for me, I can remember reading the first Anne Rice that I read was Vampire Lestat, her second book. Reading that and seeing her doing from the point of view of what I considered the monster. Up until that point, I'd only read horror, I'd only written horror. If you had a werewolf, it was always the monster chasing you. And I saw her doing something different with vampires. I said, you can do that? And it really opened it up to so many more possibilities. And the fun is saying, okay, if I could change into a wolf, what would that mean for me? How would that change me? How would the wolf instincts change me? And how would it change my outlook on the world? And how would I get by in a human world, hiding what I am and surviving?
Excellent. Kelley Armstrong, thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.